Welcome to the Network Engineering Video Blog. I am your host, Michael Crane. Well, when I first powered this router up, it made a strange noise. And I wanted to see if I could reproduce it for you, and then we could troubleshoot it and maybe try to fix it. So let me go ahead. I have the power supply already fired up, the Neg 48 power supply we built. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up the router and see if we can have it make that noise again. Whew. Yeah, it makes me jump every time that happens. Yeah, that pretty much scared the pants off me with the first time I fired this thing up, and I was right down there next to it. I thought something was going to fly out and grab me. And just FYI, routers do not normally make that noise when they fire up, so I think we've got a problem somewhere. Let's see if we can find it and fix it. Okay, I pulled up a console window to the Juniper router. Let's go ahead and log in. Okay, and well, let's go into the CLI. They show chassis alarms. Yep, and that's kind of what it sounded like to me. We got a major alarm, left fan tray, fan 2 failed. That's what it sounded like. It sounded like a fan blade flew off and was heading straight towards me. And power supply B right here, we just don't have any power on it. And yep, we don't have any Ethernet in it yet either. So okay, so left fan tray, fan number 2. Let's take a look at it. By the way, the fan tray is hot swappable. In other words, I could leave the router powered up and pull that fan tray out of the chassis. The thing is you can't leave it out very long because the router will overheat and you'll really have problems. So if you're going to do any extended, if you're going to pull a fan tray out for some extended type of work like we're going to do, just power the router off. Or if you can't do that, then find another fan tray to stick in there temporarily until you can get the primary one fixed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and shut the router down. Request system. I believe it's power off. Yeah, and the button on the front that you push, I believe, actually sends this command right here. Oh, we got that alarm. Okay, so I just, it says power off system, yes. All right. Okay, so I went ahead and pulled out the fan tray, and it was pretty obvious as soon as I pulled it out which fan was the problem. I didn't even have to count them. Let me see if we can zoom in here. So that's fan 1, and that is fan 2. As you can see, it is broke. Okay, let me see if I can get this fan off. Oh, well, that was easy enough. I guess it just sticks on there by friction. Let me pull one of these other guys off. Oh, yeah, that doesn't pull off very easily. This, I don't think it's glued onto it. Let me zoom into it and I'll let you guys take a look at it. All right. Well, it's kind of zoomed in there. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see there's not really anything. There's no grips on it. So, okay, so let's take a better look at this thing. I don't know if you can see the wires, but it's got a blue, a black, and a red wire coming out of it. And it says it is a Delta Electronics model WFB 1212HH. It's 12 volt DC, and it looks like it pulls about 0.68 amps. So let's see if we can find a replacement for this guy. Okay, so I think I found a replacement for it. It's actually on Amazon, and they want $32.65 plus about $5 shipping. And I kind of looked at it, and it looks pretty much WFB 1212HH, 12 volt DC, 0.68 amps. And if you look at the wires, this has 3 wires, blue, black, and red, which is exactly what we have. The problem with this is, and I could cut it out of the chassis, and I'm sorry, I could cut this out of the fan tray, cut this fan out of the fan tray, and you know, solder this back in, do a nice clean job fixing it up. I'm sure it would work just perfectly. The problem is this thing, this $32.65 plus $5 shipping, about $39, is more than what I paid for the router. So we're going to have to go to Plan B. Okay, so there are three things that every good lab should have. The first one is duct tape. Every lab should have duct tape, and I'm not talking about that wimpy gray stuff. I'm talking about this good black Gorilla tape. You know, once you stick it on there, it never comes off, or it takes the skin with it. The next thing is WD-40. Every good lab should have a can of WD-40. And if you've ever seen the Red Green show, Red Green used to say, if it moves and it's not supposed to move, you use duct tape. If it doesn't move and it's supposed to move, you use WD-40. And those are wise words to live by. Now, I added a third because I use this product a lot, and that is super glue. Super glue has repaired many enclosures in the lab, especially after some bad shipping. And today we're going to use that on our fan. So whenever you're going to start shade treeing something like this, make sure you dress for the occasion. So you need to roll up your sleeves, and you might even just take your collared shirt off altogether and just be sitting there in your t-shirt being one with your shade tree-ness. So anyway, let's get started. I'm going to try to do this where you can see it on the video here. So I'm going to take my regular super glue and open up this crack a tad, and then I'm just going to put just a little bit of super glue all in these cracks. All right, and I'm going to close it. Oh, you got to make sure you get everything lined up. And by the way, try not to get this stuff on your fingers. It's very sticky. All right, we'll let that sit for a few minutes here, and then we'll go to phase B, which will be using a different kind of super glue, the super gel. I usually use a gel when you have porous materials, or it's not completely flat. I have had pretty good luck with the gel. So we're going to use the gel to make sure that the fan stays on the shaft. I let this sit for about 15 minutes, and it looks and feels pretty dry. One thing to note, try not to put too much glue on these parts, super glue that is, on these parts, because super glue does not dry well if there's too much of it on there. And that's why you probably saw me earlier wiping some of the excess off. So let's do a test fit real quick and see if it's going to break, just sticking it on there. And I heard a click, but I don't see anything broken. I don't see where it feels like it's supposed to clip on there, but I do not see any clips at all inside there. It's interesting. It looks like it has a piece of wire that was actually super glued inside the fan enclosure. So I think someone's had a go at this thing before. I'm not exactly sure, but I don't know if you can see that. But anyway, I removed it. And let's see what it feels like here. And it feels like it spins okay. But still, it comes off way too easily. So I'm going to take some of this gel, and I'm not going to get around the center bearing right here. So I'm going to put some drops. And maybe I should put it on some of the splines. So remember, if you're going to shade tree something, you want to do the best shade tree job possible. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some isopropyl alcohol, and I'm going to clean this metal off inside here and a little bit inside this plastic right here, just to kind of take the oil from my fingers off of the surface there. And so the glue will stick a little better. And I'm going to be very careful not to get it inside the where the bearings are right here, because I don't want to dry or get any alcohol inside there and dry up the bearing grease. Alrighty, that looks pretty good. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some of this gel and I'm just going to put some drops. And I don't know if you'll be able to watch me do this, but I'm just going to put little drops on the top here, evenly spaced. And I'm also going to put some drops on the splines. And I'm using the gel because it dries a little slower. It gives us a little more time to work with it. All right. Now I'm just going to pop that guy on there and let it sit. Okay, so I let the super glue gel set for about, it's been about 20 minutes. I've already installed the fan cage inside the router, and I gave it a little bit of a pull test. I don't want to break the fan. So it didn't seem to pop off, which was good. So the next step is let's fire it up and see what happens. Beautiful. So I don't know if you could hear it. We didn't hear a bang. And it seems to be running great. Let's go check the command line interface in Junos and see if the fan is up to speed and if our alarm is cleared. The router is fired up. Let's take a look at it. Log in as root. Juniper 1. Okay, so let's see. It's a show system alarms. Oh, very good. Yep. Just the power supply and the Ethernet link. Okay, so I had to pull up the document. I couldn't remember the command, but so it's a show chassis environment. All right. And the fans. Perfect. Everybody is happy. So, I call that a fix. So, one thing I want to make note of before we stop is this is an okay fix if this is a lab environment like we're in now. You would not want to do this fix in a production environment where you have customer traffic on the router. For one thing, if that fan flies apart and happens to mess up some other fans, then you could have a real mess on your hands. I doubt if that's going to happen, but in a production environment, yeah, that would be a no-no. And the router was running just fine with just 3 fans. So in the production environment, you just, replace the fan tray. But like I said, in a lab environment, like we're in, that kind of fix is okay, especially if you have a limited lab budget and you can't afford to just go out and buy another fan tray for your router. So anyway, I hope you liked that video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments under the video, and I'll see you next time.